everyone, my name is Ellie and today we are going to be talking about Spoonflower. Spoonflower is a website where you can custom print fabric, wallpaper, wrapping paper, all sorts of things with your very own custom-made pattern. It's a really great resource for cosplayers and I've used it quite a few times before, but today I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of creating your own fabric, and then after that we're going to talk about the pros and cons of Spoonflower. So let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be using Spoonflower to create my custom fabric for my Punk Rock Hanamaru outfit. These Punk Rock Love Live outfits have very specific plaid patterns, and unless you want to be painting or sewing ribbons or purchasing the costume online, you're probably going to have to print your own fabric from Spoonflower. So the first thing I did was create my design. This is kind of a long process and I won't go into all of it. It's a lot of trial and error. I started with a picture of Hanamaru in her punk rock outfit and created a grid for scale. At that point, I was able to then create my fabric pattern, doing all of this in Photoshop and making sure to use the line tool as frequently as possible so everything is nice and straight. And at that point, I had to scale my pattern and change it and all sorts of little things until it finally was the way I wanted it. One of the great things about Spoonflower for designers is that you're able to upload your design as many times as you need to, and they have wonderful real-time previews. So I can look at what 6 yards of my material will look like with a scale at the top and the side, so I can see if my pattern is to the right scale. This is really helpful and one of my favorite things about Spoonflower, because like I said, even though I created my grid and made everything to scale in Photoshop, it still took a lot of tweaking once I got it into Spoonflower to make sure everything aligned properly and actually was the right scale once I put it into the program. Now that I have my design finalized and uploaded to Spoonflower, it's time to order my test swatch. You can order a swatch for $5 or $6, which is pretty pricey, but considering it's custom printed, it's a good thing to do. If you don't order a swatch, it's very likely that you're going to get your 6 yards of fabric and it's going to be completely the wrong color. Thankfully though, my test swatch came out perfectly, so I was able to order my fabric. One of the great things about Spoonflower is that they have lots of different types of material. They have everything from very basic quilting cotton all the way to silk. I think they have spandex as well, which is absolutely spectacular and really handy for any sort of cosplay product. For my punk rock plaid, I ended up ordering the satin. Spoonflower satin is kind of shiny, but it's a bit of a luxurious shine, I guess you could say. It looks pretty nice. However, I have some qualms about it. First of all, the backside is not printed. That's something that you expect. I don't expect them to print the backside, but it's something to be aware of. If you're going to make a long train and you don't want to line it, you need to be aware that the wrong side of your fabric is going to be white with a little bit of your pattern seeing through, but not enough to make it really look amazing and professional. It's something you'll have to finish with some other fabric on the backside. And then of course their satin is also so delicate. Any sort of needle. I change my needle every couple stitches when I'm working with this because otherwise it's going to pull. Even hand stitching, it gets pulls in it, which is pretty cruddy because when you pull it, since it's a white material underneath, you're going to get streaks of white into your pattern. So if you're working with a darker material, say you have like a black plaid pattern, you are going to get white streaks everywhere, which super duper sucks. You just spent so much on this fabric and now it doesn't look right. It's so frustrating. But other than that, I do love Spoonflower satin fabric. It has a gorgeous sheen, it's absolutely beautiful, it's very lightweight, and it drapes wonderfully. I also like how vibrant the colors are. Of course, I've also ordered a few other types of fabric from Spoonflower before, and I want to talk about those real quick. Here you can see some of their cotton fabric. I had this printed with my Franchocho plaid from Zombieland Saga. And here you can see that it is so stiff. I don't know how they print this, but it makes it so it will stand up like a tent. It's insane. Of course, some washing will definitely get rid of that and will make it a bit softer. I have not washed the sample yet, full disclosure. But on the cotton, you can also see the colors are still extremely vibrant. You still do have the white back, but with cotton, I don't think that's as big of a deal since you're probably gonna line it anyway or use it as a lining. So, I mean, that's not a huge deal to me. The cotton obviously will not pull as much as the satin does. Cotton doesn't really pull like that. It's really, really easy to sew with as well. I have used it before for a couple projects and I really like the way it looks. It's very stiff and very clean. One of the other things we have to mention about Spoonflower is the cost. Spoonflower is expensive, like very expensive. If you are purchasing fabric and you are not the designer, the satin fabric is $18 a yard. And as the designer, it was like $16.50 or something like that. That's pricey. So you're gonna wanna make sure that everything you cut and everything you make, you know exactly how much yardage you need and you don't make any mistakes. Measure twice, cut once. So that is the one downside to Spoonflower. But if you're using it for a project that you want to look perfect and you have a very specific fabric in mind, it's great for that. But yes, so that is my review of Spoonflower. I've been sewing with Spoonflower for quite a few years and they are my go-to when I need a very specific fabric. I've heard that Joann's and Michael's are now starting to offer something very similar to this, and maybe I'll have to try them out and see how that works. But for now, this is Spoonflower. I freaking love it. I use it all the time. And if you're looking for a specific fabric to complete your cosplay, I definitely suggest using them. So if you have used Spoonflower before, let me know in the comments what sort of pattern you got. I would love to see. I think all of the patterns are so unique and very, very beautiful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, keep sewing, stay positive, and have fun! Bye.